Hello and welcome to Confidently Wrong, a show by regular dudes talking with confidence about content we have no right to speak about with any kind of authority, but do it anyway. I'm Wesley Nakamura, and as always, I'm joined by Mike Smith, award-winning director Brian Redondo, and Savon Jones, aka Captain Vane. This is episode 28, and on today's show, we share our summer hype lists and discuss whether DC can be trusted to produce a Black Superman movie. I'm confident that it's going to be the best show you've ever listened to, and well, hey, if it's not, you can always ask us for a refund. All right, friends. Good to see you all. It's been a while actually since we've recorded a podcast, and it's been about a week and a half since we released a podcast. Mike decided that he was going to do a crazy road trip. I'm pretty sure he was half naked half of the time.
True.
Based on his Instagram.
Bottom half.
Hell yeah, brother.
So we're recording actually here on a weekday, so hopefully this will be out in the next couple of days, depending on how unbusy I am at work right now because it's the end of the school year.
And whether or not the Lakers are still in the playoffs.
Oh my God, might be crying myself to sleep tonight. This is the night we're recording. It's Game 6 tonight. Lakers could be out in about 3 hours. Their whole season could be done in a flame of disappointment.
How, on a scale of 1 to 10, how upset are you when the Lakers are eliminated? Or,
When they're eliminated, I don't think I'm that upset. Usually you can kind of see it coming. I mean, I think the worst was 2008 when they got beat in Game 7 of the finals, right? So you're one game away and you need a good performance. You need a good performance. There's no other games. And they really laid an egg that game. And so I wasn't mad. I think I was just really disappointed that they hadn't shown up better. When they go out, I tend to be more even keel about it because you can kind of see it coming and you're just well, they just didn't have it this year. And that's the way it goes. You can't win every year as much as Laker fans would like to. In fact, Lakers Twitter has been
Savon right now.
Lakers Twitter has been off their rockers the past few days. They are ready to fire 3 or 4 of the players automatically.
Oh my God, you won everybody last
thinks
year.
I know. Everybody
my
thinks
God.
that Frank Vogel's not everybody. A lot of people are Frank Vogel's an idiot. Frank Vogel's the coach. And it's
Savon
the guy
continues to
made
shake his
such
head.
great adjustments last year. He made the right calls last year. He didn't suddenly forget how to coach. He's the same coach. It just hasn't worked out this year, and that
Still shaking
happens.
his head.
The look of
Yeah.
disgust on Savon's
just-
face.
I only ask because when the Saints lose, Savon can tell you when they lose it all, I am not pleasant to be around, and when they lose at the end of the season, I'm depressed for days, and not sad. I'm what's even the point of liking football anymore?
The Saints' losses are so different, though,
it's
right?
so-
they get
yeah.
robbed. It's
Every
their
year,
story every single year.
and it's just it's
And then
brutal.
they change the
after,
rules the year after. It's crazy.
after the Rams cheated us. I remember walking around the corner to get beer with my head down and didn't talk to anybody, and then just walked in and just silently started drinking beer to myself. It was days. And I can't even look at football. If it's on my phone, if it's on a screen, I immediately just throw it away.
It's great.
I think I take a different approach. I get really mad in individual games when they play badly because I know when they can play better, when they have a good team and they play badly, I get really upset because I'm you guys know how to do this. We just saw it in the very previous game before this, and that's upsetting to me. If you had just done the same things you had been doing, you would have won this game. That's really annoying. When the other team is better, and in this case, Phoenix may just be a better team right now, what are you going to do, right? There's nothing you can do in that moment except try your best.
Flame them on Twitter.
Yeah. I mean, it's just, it's horrible though. I mean, the Lakers fans that are doing that are just really annoying to me right now because the guys are just playing badly right now. It's not they're
The guys.
yeah, the players, right? They're just playing badly right now.
My boys.
It's not A lot of it is things they can prevent, but a lot of it's not. A lot of it's just their shots aren't going in. They're not being put in like the greatest positions all the time. Phoenix is a good team. It's just a lot is going against them right now.
When my A+ kid makes an A-, how does it make you feel? That's what this is to me.
Yeah, exactly. That's the kind of teacher Wes is.
No, I'm just like, I'm just like, cool. I have to be content that my team is like, the Pelican season. I just have to be content. Okay, I have young guys who don't suck. All right, cool. I guess I'll just have to be happy with that. And Brian just had to be happy that, okay, well,
he made the playoffs.
Yeah, ATL smacked us, but at least we made the playoffs.
Hell yeah.
And then we have this guy for the team that has the most championships in history and the defending champs roll through the six in his woes.
For people listening, Wesley is wearing a Lakers jersey and a Lakers hat. So
the T-shirt underneath the jersey is also.
Is that also okay?
Yeah.
So
and the thing is, everything Wes is saying is right.
His Laker knee pads.
Like everything he's saying is true. It's just the equivalent of first world problems in regards to the NBA.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, like, and I don't take that for granted.
I'm upset.
Meanwhile, other teams are like, "Yo, we gonna have a team." Does our GM
Sacramento, man.
Does our
Sorry,
GM
Minnesota.
even know that we are a basketball team?
I 100% agree with that.
The Pelicans used to get the Saints training staff for our NBA team.
Oh my god!
And this dude's upset because they lost in Game 7 of the finals. I'll be happy to get swept in the playoffs.
All right. So this summer, it's now the beginning of June, which is basically the start of summer, guys. And we thought we'd talk about what's on our summer hype list. What are we excited about coming up this summer? What are we most looking forward to? I will start us off answering my own prompt / question here. Mostly it's actually Marvel stuff. I just realized when I was trying to write out what I was into. So I'm actually I know, so on brand. I'm really intrigued by MODOK. It looks like a claymation, and I don't know if they did it with computer animation or they actually did claymation stop motion show on Hulu, and it's about MODOK, who is this like evil genius, but also like really sad and pitiful genius. My buddy Miles put me onto it, so I'm excited to check that out. They just dropped all of the first season, I think, on Hulu, which Hulu usually does week by week, so this is kind of cool that it's all at once. I like to binge things rather than wait every week.
We've established that.
Sure do.
Yep. So that is right up my alley.
Summer vacation coming your way.
Hey, I'm excited for Loki. I think this is the show I was probably most excited about when they started announcing all of these shows. So hopefully they do something really cool and inventive with this, because Loki's just like a fun character you can kind of play around with his teleportation and his lying, and what a great job by Hiddleston in bringing that character to life. I am excited for Black Widow in about a month. I think it comes out July 9th. But not because I think the movie's going to be all that good, but as we've talked about before, I really want to go see movies in theaters, especially action movies. And I think in Austin, it'll be possible probably to go see movies in theaters and have like an actual movie theater experience, probably with masks on, like normal. So that's what I'm excited for this summer. I'm sure there will other things be coming our way, but those are the things I'm really pumped for. Brian, what are you most looking forward to this summer?
Since you took care of all that Marvel stuff for me, I gotta shout out some non-Marvel things. To go along with that idea of getting back to the movies, like I love sitting in a theater, a packed theater, huge sound, huge spectacle. Black Widow is not that type of movie for me. I really wish they would re-release Tenet, actually, which I just saw on HBO Max, because like that's the kind of like big IMAX movie theater experience that I want. But in lieu of that, I'm gonna say,
wait, did you like Tenet? I've heard so many mixed reviews and a lot of people who said it was horrible.
I really love Christopher Nolan movies. Tenet is one of his least good ones, but it is still
what a way of
fucking
describing
amazing. It's still like just like a mind-bending, mind-blowing movie experience, like even on my home screen. And it kind of just like doesn't make sense and is like
my
very
question was
incomprehensible. but is so cool to watch and try to figure out anyway.
That sounds terrible.
Is it coherent? That is the question.
I think ultimately it is.
It's a subjective term.
It took me 3 times watching it and some
Not with
YouTube
Christopher Nolan
videos
movies.
and dissecting it with Anna.
You had to watch YouTube videos to
No,
understand
thumbs
it?
down.
Yes.
Thumbs
Oh,
down.
you gotta do extra.
That is a
work.
failure of
There's
the
a lot
medium.
There's a lot of work. Yeah, I'm telling you, it's probably one of his worst works.
We're from least good to
However,
worst.
however, his worst stuff miles ahead of Zack Snyder's best. So that's all
Zack
I
Snyder wasn't
So
even
many-
mentioned in
so many
Caught Astray.
shots.
Yeah.
Caught Astray.
More shots than a birthday.
All right,
So-
keep going. Keep going. What else
Give
you
me,
into?
give
So
me anything
Tenet?
Nolan. I'll eat it up. But
All
so that Tenet's not going to be back in the movie theaters. Not that I'm aware of. So the
I don't know. It
surprising
might be. It
thing.
made like $4.
Right. I like a rinky dink, like kind of like Tuesday matinee thing. Maybe.
All those places went out of business.
Sad.
Yeah.
Pandemic sad.
Ugh.
The thing that actually caught my eye to scratch that itch was actually the trailer for Fast and the Furious 9. And I hate Fast and the Furious, let me tell you. And I've
Why?
probably only seen like maybe I've seen Tokyo Drift. I saw maybe parts of the one that took place in Brazil or something. Like they're all
Oh,
kind
that
of
one was good.
they're all kind of inane, right? But I'll tell you why I'm interested in 9. One is because I just haven't been seeing stuff in the movie theater, and I want to see something big. I want to see action. I want to see over the top spectacle. And in the trailer for F9, it's like it's just bonkers, right? It's like the ninth
Yeah.
one, so they're just like trying to top
They
themselves.
stopped
introduced
caring. Like,
exactly.
it's just
They
like
know
doing-
they know what this is. They know this is just like stupid shit on screen, but kind of cool. So they have cars. They're racing cars as normal. They're firing guns as normal, but apparently somebody has a giant magnet that is being weaponized. And so you have these cars that are getting like flipped and pulled through buildings in really crazy ways. It's almost like they're trying to do action scenes like Christopher Nolan, right? Who, you know, who's always like messing with the reality to create a cool action dynamic. So maybe F9 will do the trick for that. Other stuff that I'm interested in for this summer, In the Heights, which is another big type of spectacle movie.
of a different variety.
A completely different
Less
genre.
explosions.
A geeky genre.
More
but maybe
explosions
not
of
our
music.
geeky genre. Explosions of emotion.
Yeah.
And spontaneous song. It's Lin-Manuel Miranda, his
guy who did
pre-Hamilton
Hamilton.
Broadway show, now in movie form. And apparently the early reviews are good. So
Really?
I'm hoping, it'll be like
Is it
a
a
fun
musical?
summer movie. It's a musical
Yes.
about Washington
Big
Heights.
time. Yeah, it's cool. It's like very Latin the music.
It's
Latin.
like the Puerto Rican Dominican community in
Yeah.
Washington Heights. So it's like very New York City, and because it's Lin-Manuel Miranda, they're rapping for like half the music. So it's like a combination of Broadway and rap, which is kind of cool. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't.
Would you say you're skeptical, Savon? Your face is.
I mean, I don't even like musicals, and I haven't seen Hamilton, so there's levels to it. Maybe I don't
Can't
know.
believe you haven't seen Hamilton. Either of you.
It
Mike
just
and
doesn't-
Savon haven't seen
I
Hamilton.
don't like musicals.
Yeah, I don't like musicals. Like the
To
only
be
musical
fair-
I like is
to be
like Color
fair-
Purple and Lion King.
There's if we're including Disney movies, then there's.
Are you
just
talking about the animated Lion
infinitely
King?
more?
No, these are both like the plays where you go in person.
You do like the animated Lion King, correct?
I mean, it's a movie. It's straight.
Oh,
Savon, bro, come on. Do we
I mean,
have now? We have
come
to
on,
do an
man.
episode right
I've seen
now.
it. I've
about-
seen it. It's just
Hakuna
I don't-
Matata's you.
I think I like
It's-
Lion King 1.5.
Were
more.
you this like on the fence
that's
and
a
like
terrible
milk
take.
toast takes when you were a child? Like
just
your
didn't
mom
really
like
care
put
about
on
these movies.
Lion King and you were just like, it's fine, it's not doing it for me.
It's like
I
what I liked.
appreciate-
Like I like Lion King 1.5. Timon and Pumbaa's like Timon's upbringing. I love that movie.
Wow,
Where
did
all the
anyone
other
see
Disney
that?
characters are in the movie theaters watching the story. I love that movie, and they fill in the gaps. I love that movie so much.
What does that even mean? The Disney characters watching the movie?
So
That was
Lion
part
King-
of the movie?
Who are
Lion
you?
King 1.5 was like a.
Are
like
you
a,
an
it was like
English?
a meta. It was like a meta cut, but they're watching it, and Timon is like explaining his life story. You meet his parents. It's a really good movie. I haven't seen Lion King 1.5.
You know
I
what
think
else
you
is a
just
really
like
good
extended
movie?
Disney
The Lion
universe.
King.
Nah, man.
What 1.5? That was
I'll
like a
watch 1.5.
straight to VHS movie.
I love that movie.
That's so weird. I've never seen it.
That's like
I
a
can't
weird,
comment on it.
deep
That's a weird
Disney
take.
cut.
You
Yeah.
see my energy. I like that movie.
Wait, if you guys okay, so I'm not necessarily into musicals either, and I haven't seen that many in my lifetime. And if someone was like, "Let's go see a musical," I'd be like, "I don't know."
I would say no.
But Hamilton, I think it didn't live up to the hype because it was just so hyped by the time I'd seen it. I think I saw it after like 4 years of it being out. But if you go see Wicked and you haven't seen musicals before, that one is, I think, a good one for beginners. Like, as someone who doesn't understand musicals and doesn't get them, that one is really good. So if you haven't seen Wicked and you're listening to this, highly recommend that as like a first-time musical if you ever get a chance to see it.
No, skip
For
Wicked.
what
Just
for what
watch
it's worth,
Hamilton.
I love
What
it.
am I like a
I just don't
7th
like
grade?
them.
Yeah.
Like there's a distinction. Like I've seen enough musicals to know. Okay, so this is okay. Cool.
To
Yeah,
be
this
fair,
ain't it.
I saw In the Heights on Broadway, and like
So that was pre-Hamilton, right?
Yeah.
Did you have an emotional response?
I don't think so.
Explosion.
I was just like, oh, the music is cool, and the sets are cool, and the story is good.
So it was good.
I saw it like my junior year of high school, so like 2009, 10. So y'all were already like, midway through your 40s.
I was already through my second mortgage.
I also I am a big ABBA fan and do enjoy Mamma Mia.
Oh,
So,
man.
Oh no,
Mamma Mia
I would not be into
slaps.
that.
No, ABBA is the best band in the world.
Wow.
So like there was no level of
Interesting.
horribleness that Mamma Mia could have done.
I thought they were just called ABVA.
All right, Brian, are you into anything else this summer? Let's get back on topic.
I talked a lot already. My last thing is just like any news of Breath of the Wild 2. That's what
Are you
I'm
searching the
hyped
deepest
for.
depths of the internet? Like you got an alert set up for Breath of the Wild 2?
Well, there's like a Nintendo Direct thing happening and E3 soon.
Yeah. So
I feel like we gotta get
they
something.
have to give us some sort of breadcrumb, anything.
I've been
Well,
playing
we'll
Breath of the
see.
Wild. It's really hard for me. I'm enjoying it, but it is really hard. All right, Mike, what are you up for this summer? What are you looking
I
for?
can't believe you're still struggling with that game.
I'm just bad at
now.
this
I
game.
feel like I'm failing, and then like
I'm
we're all.
you don't help
failing
me. You said don't call you for help, so I'm not. I'm just
Figure it
struggling
out.
my way
Figure
through
it
it.
out. You
It's-
need.
it's
It's
hard.
just like it's like you just need like structure every step of the way. Like whether it's
guess
TV
so.
shows. Like game is just vibes. Wes, the
Yeah,
Lakers
yeah.
have no
But I'm
vibes.
to be fair,
The
I'm under a
Lakers
little bit of a
have
time
no
crunch.
vibes.
I'm
Fair
under a bit
enough.
of a time crunch too because I need to return the Switch to BK. I'm borrowing from him, and I don't want to keep it forever. So I'm trying to get
You
through
can
it.
keep it forever.
I have been, I have been
pay
through
'em.
one Divine Beast finally.
Oh, okay. So then, what are you struggling
Finally.
with?
Progressed.
You're rocking and rolling.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I'm
Let's
getting towards my
go.
second one now. But I was telling Brian earlier, I'm struggling with this one group of bad guys.
The
That's
Yiga
fine.
clan.
Oh, is it like in that little cave thing?
Yeah, in the
Yes.
hideout.
Yeah, that's not that, bro. That part's broken.
Oh,
Don't
it's
stress
so
about that.
hard.
Yeah, that part's broken. The rest
All
of the
right.
game is anyway.
Okay, Mike, what are you into?
I'm excited, and we talked about Ratchet and Clank multiple times on the show.
Yes.
So I'm not gonna.
It
get
comes out soon, right?
specifically- It comes out like next week.
Okay,
So I'm not
I think
gonna
I'm gonna
talk
get it.
specifically on why I'm excited for that game. Go listen to some of the past episodes about it. I think it's actually gonna be like pretty legit.
Are the rest of you gonna get it?
When I get a PS5, yes.
Yeah. Savon, would you get it? He just shrugged.
Savon has a
not.
lot on his plate right now.
Probably not, to be honest. Not that I don't want to play it. There's just other games that I objectively like more genre-wise. But, but I'm going to listen to what Mike has to say about it, too.
All right.
Savon is too busy playing Resident Evil 8 in 5-minute increments.
I don't even know what that means.
45-minute.
Sounds
Does
terrible.
that mean like you go like change your Pampers like after 5 minutes?
essentially.
and then
To be fair, I
come
watched
back?
Savon play it. I would never play the game. It's really
Yeah, we played it
scary, but
together, bro. That was awful.
but it's really good. Actually, highly recommend it. We should talk about it later date.
Okay.
I'm excited for that. Kena Bridge of Spirits is coming out.
What's it called?
What is that?
Kena Bridge of Spirits.
Okay.
It was actually one of the announced titles. It kind of looks like a Pixar game. It is coming out later this summer. Looks really cool. Again, Kena Bridge of Spirits. Look it up online. It's gonna be really exciting. It's like very colorful, but I think it's also doing things creatively that you're only able to do with the PS5 hardware in terms of like loading and changing the map. And then also, I'm going to talk about this more in depth, and I think we're going to do a whole episode down the line on this. But the Mass Effect Legendary Edition came out, so that's the first 3 games, which I never played, are remastered and all for PS4. It's really fun. I burned through the first one because it was super outdated, and it was just like, just get the story in, like don't do the side quests. But I'm taking my time with the second one, and just like, for those of you that don't know, Mass Effect is this giant, essentially, like, space opera RPG where you can make your own character and you can make all these decisions that are really impactful to the way the story progresses. There's a lot of different ways you can progress your character, and it's really huge. So if you like sci-fi RPGs, it's not really like open world in a traditional sense because you can't like run anywhere. You have to take your ship to different places. Really like it. I'm like halfway through 2, and then I'm taking my time with that, and then I also have 3 ahead of me. So I think like between that and
Wait, it really feels like you were just like negging Cyberpunk. Is that what just happened there?
not intentionally, but kind of, yeah. I mean, like,
You're like, this game did all of this stuff that Cyberpunk was trying to do, and it did it successfully, and it did it about 10 years ago.
yeah, I mean, like, they were kind of going for slightly different things because, you know, Cyberpunk is more of a true open world game. The development is not nearly as in depth in Mass Effect as like you would expect from Cyberpunk, what they said Cyberpunk would have been, and also what The Witcher was. So it's not quite there. It's a little more pared down, which is good for a dummy like me. It's not like too in depth, but it also does have those levels there where you can really get invested with your character. And it's cool because you can bring your character in between like game 1, 2, and 3, and the decisions you make in each game actually have repercussions in the next game.
Oh, that's
so
pretty cool.
It is pretty sweet. It's $60 for all 3 games. If you like RPGs, it's just kind of like vibing, like doing like around like whatever you want to do, or you can progress the story. It's really sick. Really like it. Like, shout out all the friends of the show who were super into it and were very passionate about me playing it, and are still passionate about Savon playing it sometime down the line, because Savon chose not to buy the game so he can play Resident Evil in 3-minute increments while he goes to change his Pampers.
Thanks.
My
Shout
takeaway
out to
from this,
Huggies.
let's get that Huggies money. You think we got a
money?
Huggies comfy collabo?
I think that could happen.
That's so gross.
Right.
But yeah, just kind of like, I'm actually excited for like games this summer. I think unfortunately we got some bad news around like God of War and Gran Turismo. That they're gonna-
2022.
Yeah,
God
and
of
they're going to
War.
be developed for PS4 also, which we've talked about the impact that can have on the ceiling of the game. But I think there is a lot of stuff to be excited about, and that's kind of what I think I'll spend a lot of the hot summer in New Orleans doing.
My takeaway from all of that, Mike, is that you are filling in the gaps in PS5 content by taking your time with these other
No,
those games.
100%.
Yeah.
Like there is, and there's also Returnal, which I'm not gonna play until they fix one feature in it. But it's right now, like Mass Effect is the perfect game to just fill in, like you said, the gap of there not being any actual PS5 games to play.
I know you guys have sort of like, or Mike, you're especially down on like games that are being developed for PS4 and PS5. I think, to be fair though, the player base is much bigger in PS4 still, right? I mean, just
Especially because of the microchip shortage.
Yeah,
and
that's
there's
part of the reason,
shortages,
right?
and so
Yeah.
I'm okay if right now they're still developing for both, given that like it just means that more people will have access to these games.
Yeah, I'm not
and
mad.
I'm okay
I'm
with
just
that.
disappointed, because
Yeah.
like that'll be almost, a year and a half, almost 2 years into this console's lifespan when Sony also particularly talked about this is going to be a generational leap
Right.
with all the reasons I've talked about in terms of what hardware can do with creativity. So, it's great for access, we don't want to...
That's the trade-off, right?
I'm
Yeah.
still mad. I'm mad. I don't like it. Leave them in the past. I am completely understanding when I had a PS4 and I became a class trader classist the moment I got my 5.
Savon's going to be the first person that signs up for a microchip.
It is a personal problem.
Savon got his. He doesn't care about it.
Savon, F you got mine, Jones. You heard it here first.
All right. Savon, what are you looking forward to this summer?
Yeah, so
What should the people be hype about?
yeah, so this is the thing. There's a lot of things I'm actually hyped for this summer, and it might be a symptom of what Brian said it too, of me, trying to fill in PS5 content, but a lot of things that I'm hyped for aren't really coming out. They're just things that are already out that I'm either discovering or still actively enjoying. So I mentioned before when Brian said he's reading the Invincible comics, I'm like, all right, bet. I'm going to be reading
Oh,
it.
you're doing that?
Yeah.
So are you going to do that, Wes?
No, the comics.
Okay. Yeah.
No,
Okay.
I don't got money like that.
Fair enough. All right, continue.
Yeah.
But like, if we're all doing the comics, then I'll do the comics.
No. This
Do
is
the
like a group.
comics.
No, I'm doing this solely for my own enjoyment because I do this with every show. If the show
Savon,
comes out,
I
there's an
got
adaptation.
mine.
Yeah, I'm saying.
Fuck y'all.
Forget the
I
rest
got
of
mine.
y'all.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm saying, like, if the show, they did the same thing with Game of Thrones and a bunch of other stuff, where if a show comes out and it's good and it turns out it's based off something, if there's a big gap between when the next season comes out, and I know it's good, I'll read the other thing. Like, I read the Boys comic, I regretted it, but, you gotta, just charge that to the game, right?
Hey.
But, so I'm hyped for that. I bought the new Resident Evil, so that's gonna keep me occupied. I also bought Breath of the Wild, so I have that on my queue. So I have a lot of stuff that's just out already. And
Wait, you went and got Breath of the Wild?
I bought them both at the same time.
Ooh.
So I've been kind of like bouncing between for a good palette switch. And then the other thing is like, those are going to keep me solidly entertained. And then also, as much as people are going to hate to say this summer, Rockstar puts out their like annual summer updates for Grand Theft Auto and Red Dead Online. And as much as those games have been out and maybe not some people are ready to move on, I actively have fun with those. And yeah, that's going to keep me occupied. So, I told y'all I'm gonna be moving soon, so I'm gonna have a lot of free time on my hands. So this will give me some chance to just kind of dive into some of these games that, yeah, like they're out already, and I'm not really looking. There's not anything coming out really that's got me super hyped besides these games Mike just named that are getting actively pushed back. But there's a huge queue of games that are already out and amazing, and there's no reason I still can't get them and.
So essentially what's
enjoy
happened
them.
is me and Savant's other friends have been bullying him about playing these classics for years, and he's finally now just getting around to it.
I just play things at
There's
my own-
downtime.
I play things at my own pace, I don't just buy a game, play it for a few weeks, and move on. Like, I've been playing Red Dead since it came out. I've been playing Grand Theft Auto for 7 years. If it's fun, I'm gonna keep. I've been playing Warframe for like 8 years. Like, if it's fun, I'm gonna keep playing it, son.
Really, Savon should have his own podcast and review things and then send them to the past so that when things are hot, it will be relevant.
That isn't wrong. Like, there's just so many dope things out and programs and TV shows out that like are already fire, and I just haven't discovered them yet. So I'd rather do that.
That
than just-
hurts me on such a deep level to hear you say that, because I feel like half of my relationship is being like, Savon, watch this. Savon, play this. He's like, no, man, I'm just playing what
I'll get to
things I enjoy.
Yeah, but there's stuff that but I do it. I just do it at a pace that you aren't happy with.
So,
Like, I still do it. Like, I'm gonna play Mass Effect. Mass Effect's dope on a bunch of levels, but I'm gonna do it when I feel like it.
In like 5 years, Savon will be like, hey, dude, I just got around to Mass Effect.
Yo, I might not play Mass Effect until like late this year, unironically. But when I do, I know I'm gonna have fun, and I'll let you know.
All right. I'll be interested.
It's like,
to
how
see-
can
so
someone
upset.
so polite and like neutrally spoken be so aggravating? I don't understand. I really don't understand.
Like, I told you, I'm gonna have fun with Breath of the Wild. I just gotta decide when I want to play it. And right
Have you
now,
started
I'm not
it?
there. I started it, but I'm still playing Resident Evil, and I'm still playing other stuff. You know?
Oh man.
It
All right.
hurts. It like physically hurts.
But you definitely touched on a couple things. Like when I was preparing for this segment and like looking up, okay, what's the stuff coming out this summer? Even in not just in terms of video games, but like movies and
Like
TV
nothing.
shows. Like everything
Yeah.
is a little bit disappointing. Like there's not something that is like, oh man, that is the thing that I really want. And then the second thing is that like Savon, you're totally right. Like there's so much stuff out there right now.
Mhm.
And like there's quality stuff, right? With like
Mhm.
how good TV has gotten, how good games have gotten. Like there's just a ton of stuff. And you know, my queue is never ending, and I don't think I'm gonna like really make a dent in any of it anytime soon. But yeah, I feel
All right, listeners, tell us what you're into that are looking forward to this summer, or what you're going to spend time with. Maybe that will add it to our queues. As a teacher, I tend to get a little bit more break time in the summer, so I can do more kind of goof off stuff. So I'll be interested to see what you guys think as well. I think from what you guys were talking about,
Voice crack.
I'd probably want to definitely. Oh, did it? I didn't even notice.
It was
I definitely want to
beautiful.
play Ratchet and Clank.
Ratchet and Clank is going to be such a Wesley game. I'm so
You think so?
excited for you to be so.
I've never
into it.
played a Ratchet and Clank before.
It is it is like go straight.
Yeah.
You are playing through an adventure, and you have minimal
like,
decisions that
you are
need
as
to
Yeah.
make.
close to a passenger as you can get in an interactive video
Destroy
game.
these things right
yeah,
in front
use
of you
these
on your
cool,
linear
fun
path.
weapons if you want to. You know, there's no best thing to do. It's just kind of hanging out.
I don't know. They might have
but
that
in
multi-dimension
a very
stuff.
straight, Wesley's gonna
That
be
might
like,
be a one. I don't know which dimension I want.
I know you're promising me this one linear path, and then it's going to be.
They're gonna be in
let me
space.
make
All
8
right,
decisions.
pick which portal you want to go. Wesley literally
I have-
bursts into flames.
No,
No,
all
you're
right,
gonna
well,
like that.
we're going to talk about this idea or this news. And I don't think it's really recent news, but it's kind of been building with little murmurs here and there that J.J. Abrams is going to be producing a Superman movie for DC. And Ta-Nehisi Coates, famous contemporary writer, one of his famous books is Between the World and Me. He's also been writing Black Panther, and he did a run on Captain America. But the big news is that potentially, or this movie about Superman is rumored to feature a black Superman, a black actor playing Superman here. I think Hollywood Reporter has reported on it. Screen Rant has reported on it. So it seems like it's going to happen. They're still in the writing, script writing phase. It hasn't been established on any kind of like details around it. There's no director attached yet as of right now, or not publicly at least. There's no main actor attached to it. So it's really early phases. But Brian brought this to our attention, and I thought it was interesting. I hadn't really known that there had even been characters who were black who played Superman in the comics. So this was kind of a cool learning experience. And Brian was like, what do you guys think? So there's a character, his name is Calvin Ellis, who has been the Superman character in a run of comics. I think this was, in the 2000s, mid 2000s, something like that. And then there's also another character, his name is Val Zod, who is a Kryptonian, who's also kind of a black Superman character. And there's been a couple other people who've taken on the mantle like temporarily, but those guys have been actually called Superman. Is this a concept that's exciting for you? Are you interested? I'd say, for me personally, I am very interested to see, because I think that opens up a lot of like doors for the character that haven't been explored before. Superman tends to be one of those characters that people find a little bit boring because he's just so overpowered.
The definition of vanilla.
Yeah, but if you have him be a black man representing America or wearing the S, that puts a whole other like set of issues, concerns, avenues for conflict in there that you could really explore in kind of a really interesting way, I think. And I don't think it has to be depressing or it has to be traumatic. I think it could certainly be a very Superman triumphant movie. But I do think that would add a lot of like interesting dynamic to his character that isn't there when we've got Henry Cavill or Brandon Routh playing him. Brian, did you have any thoughts on like when you saw that news? Like, oh, what was your take on it?
Well, like I saw it in an article that was kind of like contextualizing this along with the Falcon and the Winter Soldier, right? So they're talking about black superheroes in general, how there's this greater movement to really promote them and put them out there, especially in in the bigger mainstream movies and TV shows and whatever. And then so like when I read that Ta-Nehisi Coates was the one who was going to write it, I think that piqued my interest the most because he's like a really fantastic like essayist and writer, right? Like he's known for that book Between the World and Me, and there's even a movie adaptation of that.
He's very thoughtful. He's very critical around how race impacts people's lives in America, especially.
Yeah,
and the historical like underpinnings of all of that's going on.
And the premise of that book is that he's writing to his son, who I think at the time when he wrote it was just like in single digits or something like that, and is trying to prepare his son for a world filled with racism in which black people are the primary target of that oppression. And like, but that book is just like really eye-opening, even though like I think I'm pretty conscious about those kind of issues anyway. Reading that book still like illuminated a lot of things for me. So I was really like encouraged to hear that he's involved, especially, he's been writing Black Panther for like the past 50 issues or something like that. And I think like a lot of his work kind of funneled itself into the Black Panther movie. And so, okay, so here's this guy, very well respected in the space. He's gonna write this new Superman movie. And hopefully do it justice. So that's kind of like what piqued my interest. And like you said, like Superman's not a character I've ever been into for all the reasons you stated. Super most dull character in superhero
super
lore.
dull man.
Yeah.
Cole got him.
Damn, burn. Yeah. So I'm just, it just makes me more interested because it's different, and there's definitely going to be a kind of like socially aware take that goes along with it. I don't possibly see how that could not be part of the story.
Mike, did you have any thoughts?
I haven't read much of him. I definitely
Ta-Nehisi
have
Coates?
some, yeah.
Mhm.
And I definitely understand his like significance in kind of the cultural zeitgeist, as it were, in terms of like the moving towards a more progressive mindset for most people. I think he's been a big part of that, which is great. I don't have a specific take on what he'll do with this character, but I feel like at this point it would be silly to not be suspicious of DC's ability to either give him what he needs or set him up for success, or not completely just mess this up. Like, if they haven't really demonstrated the willingness to let filmmakers do their thing in the same way Marvel has, which led to this whole Snyder Cut fiasco, right? In terms of just like the studio having a very hands-on approach towards what's actually going in the movie.
And to be fair, how much influence filmmakers have over Marvel movies is up for some debate.
Sure.
Right? Like
but
a lot of that stuff is already prevised for them and predetermined. But where, I don't know how much they get to influence their movies. But
maybe, but
I think your point overall is still there.
I do think a big part of why Black Panther was able to be authentic was because they gave Ryan Coogler a lot of creative freedom.
Yeah.
And also allowed him to rely on a lot of other people to really tell a holistically authentic story.
Yeah.
What evidence do we have to say that DC would be able to do that effectively? We just don't have any. So it's like for me, it's just like I hope this is good. It sounds like a great concept, and I think having like a writer and thinker like that is already successful in superhero stuff move into movies could be huge, and it could be a great thing for DC to do. But are they going to trip themselves here?
I mean, their
It's hard
one
to
success was Wonder Woman, the first one.
Yeah, and the Snyder cut, whether that movie was quality or not was a moment, right?
People liked
So it's
Aquaman.
like, yeah,
Even if
but
y'all
like
didn't
not,
like it,
yeah.
a lot of people really liked Aquaman.
By
Okay,
people,
so
do you mean
two.
you?
Two.
Like enough to where I would put it in the same level of like if people like Wonder Woman, then people liked Aquaman.
Sure,
All right.
okay.
All
I
right.
had to turn it off, but that's fine. But no, so even so, Savon, that's what, 2 movies?
Oh yeah, no, I'm
Like,
just saying I just want to give credit where credit's due. But yes, I don't disagree with you in the slightest.
Yeah.
And to your point, Mike, like, does J.J. Abrams
Oh,
also have a
I
track
didn't
record
even
for this?
no. Like, I didn't even think of talk
He
about
put an
that. Like,
amazing first Star Trek out. He put a
Was that
really
amazing?
fun,
Was it?
a really fun first Star,
okay, we went
Star
from
Wars movie out.
amazing to real fun. It's like we went
Was
from
that the
least
one with all
best
the
to
lens?
Walk
Was that
It
the one with
Back.
all the lens?
Lens
flare?
flare. Yes.
Yeah.
I don't even think
Oh,
I've
that-
seen that movie, but I'm
Love
aware
that
of the
movie.
lens
He
flare
also
memes.
has been particularly bad at telling coherent stories that, have a beginning and end with his TV shows. He, had a big hand in the Star Wars sequels. Like, big red flag. Like, come on now. Like, DC and J.J. Abrams trying to tell, like, an authentic story about race. Like, Marvel struggled with that outside of Black Panther if we're looking at Falcon and the Winter Soldier. And they, like, have a track record of being able to do that, specifically with Black Panther being successful. So
DC dropped a ton of money on J.J. Abrams' production company. I think their contract is like something like $500 million. Half
Robot?
a billion, guys.
bag secured.
Bad
To-
robot. Oh
to
my
make
God.
ultimate
multiple things or
finesse.
just one thing?
I think so. Yeah, I think to
Doesn't
like
matter.
be a production, to be in production with them for a long time. It's nuts. 500 million. I can't even imagine that amount of money. Like if you put those in like $20 bills or something, it would just be a gigantic, endless amount of money. Savon, what did you think? So when Brian brought this to us, you expressed some skepticism around this idea.
Yeah, I
of
was putting it
producing a movie.
lightly.
we got
Yeah.
a rare Savon strong take. So what we're not going to do is call it skepticism. We're going to relish in this moment of passion.
It was
What
like
do you
vitriol.
think? Yeah,
Oh
what
no,
do you
yeah,
think?
I think
that's a
I think
word.
vitriol is actually a good word. All
right.
we're gonna go with vitriol.
Okay, you're heated about this.
Yes, I think it's nonsense. I don't like it. I don't like anything about it. The thing is that y'all have all said, I really don't disagree with any of it. Like, it
All right.
could be a way that they could tell an interesting story, yada, yada, yada. All that stuff, like, I don't disagree with that. But there's so many other levels of this that just bothers me, and it's representative of issues I think happen in, like, just the movie industry as a whole.
Lay
Like
it on us, Savon.
Like in that
Yeah,
same
break
article.
it down.
All right, come on, I'm gonna hit you with it. Look, I'm gonna hit you with it. Look, I'm gonna tell you why I'm mad, son. Look, so
Break out the chalkboard.
yeah, so they, and even in the article they said, okay, they're dedicated to find like a black director. I'm like, all right, well, like, it's just such a disingenuous way to even go about it because it turns into just relegating black directors to your designated black projects. It ends up being damn near segregation tokenism than actually promoting black filmmakers. Not to say that you wouldn't want to have a black director, but the way they're going about it is like the inauthentic equivalent of that. Like it, that doesn't look like, oh, we're going to get a black director for the black movie. It looks like, hey, we're going to hire this black woman to direct Justice League or, some other movie that's not inherently tied to just, oh, we're just here to make sure it's not offensive that a white dude's making a movie about a black. Like, hey, come on, let's just be honest. That's what a lot of that ends up really looking like. It's like, okay, we don't want to put a white guy in charge of this and piss people off. Like, that's what it turns into.
It's like if Goldman Sachs made like a racial equity department and then made the person in charge of it a person of color, and then it was like, look, like we did it,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
we won, we beat racism, guys.
Yeah, it's just like, all right, well,
I mean, it better be a person of color, first of all.
but that's the thing.
well,
like,
yeah.
but there's
But, like,
there's levels
is that
to it,
it?
though. Like,
Yeah,
there's
yeah.
levels to it because I've met people who weren't black who still were really good at teaching that content and like work stuff. Because also you don't want to just force that onto the black person of color either, because that's its own.
Yeah.
That's probably so. I don't know. I feel like the mentality they're approaching from the bounce is not authentic, which turns me off. But the other thing is that, and this is a trope that I don't know if y'all noticed this, but it always bothers me in movies, media, whatever, where you have alien species or non-humans, and their race isn't really mentioned or relevant, and we just kind of accept them as what they are. So Superman is clearly an alien. His entire origin story is of essentially a refugee immigrant on a foreign place being taken in by regular folk.
Right.
But ultimately, he's a white guy. He's a white dude, and his race is never relevant to his character. So I've never been a fan of when you do these alien species, people who still look and carry themselves like humans, their race is selectively important based on, like, I don't like the selective recognition of alien species having race to the convenience of what you're trying to do in the moment. Because no one's ever said anything about Superman being a white guy, but if you have a story about a Superman who is, for all intents and purposes, an alien, I would have more in common with y'all than I would with black alien Superman. But now suddenly his physical appearance is relevant on Earth when you have, you know, Omni-Man, who's an effing alien from God knows where, and he's just accepted as just like a white dude. And I think, and even Marvel movies do that, right? Like you have the Ravagers and the Guardians movie, and a bunch of them are like kind of rugged, but some of them are just white dudes. Or when they have the planet Nova,
They're rugged.
I'm saying, or in Guardians of the Galaxy, when they go on that planet Nova, ultimately it's just a society of space white people, and their race isn't really. But it's, am I wrong?
No, you're not.
I'm
wrong.
saying a lot of movies do this, where the space, you know, and I don't have an inherent issue with that. But when you selectively decide to make the race important, in the way they're doing with Superman is that all the stories that they'd want to try and tell with a black Superman, you could have did that with the regular Superman of someone being from a foreign place and not accepted and being different. Like, literally, you could hammer down. Superman could totally be a story about just being a refugee immigrant in America, and you could have that be the basis of all his stories.
Yeah.
But you don't, because at his core, he's a white dude, and that's not something that people really care about when you're telling a Superman story. Right, and I'm not. Right. It's very inauthentic to do the same thing, but now you made him black, and even though his blackness is irrelevant in terms of being an alien, you selectively made it important for this story now, and I just don't sit right with me. I don't like that. I don't like when aliens have race that is selectively important. Or you only do it when it's
double standard.
Yeah, you only do it when it comes to like real life minorities in the context of the culture. I don't like that.
I don't disagree with what you're saying. I think it's really problematic if you're doing a story that like is only about race because you feel like you're forced into doing a story about race, right? And so you're like, well, what's the most convenient way to do it? Well, let's flip our iconic character and have him be a different race, and now we can talk about all of these things. I do think that it's not like comics and movies haven't dealt with allegorical things before in that way. So, you know, the biggest example I can think of off the top of my head is X-Men is about mutants, but X-Men is also an allegory for otherness, right? Whether it's race or sexuality, and how being framed as this other and scary, right, is also something that has happened throughout history. The X-Men movies made it clear that like there was some ties in there to the like complete annihilation of like the Jewish population or Jewish people in Germany, right? They made Eric a Jew, and I don't know if that was something from the comics or not, but
yeah,
right, this idea that like people who look different than us, and sci-fi does this all the time as well, right? Like sci-fi has different people fighting, different groups fighting, but that is really to turn a mirror back on our own society around whatever it is, whether it's government or race or economy, you know, economics, you know, or how we treat each other. What makes us human? Like zombie stories are that too, oftentimes, right? The Walking Dead certainly exposes the humanity and what makes us human in a very visceral way. So I don't think it's fair to say that like comics and movies don't do this with their non-black characters or with their white characters. And I think by explicitly making the most iconic white character, right, or one of the most iconic white characters into a black person and saying this is now who this is, it's a very like very in-depth way, or not in-depth, in-your-face way of having our country have to confront or look at race in a real way, rather than the comfort of, well, that's just a mutant or that's just a zombie. Like now people actually have to say, wait, this story is impactful and important because it is about a black man in America, and what that, like, your reaction to that is something that we need to confront, right? That you assumed that this man was white from the very beginning, and that we as the comic creators assumed that he was white from the beginning. That is something that we need to look at more. And I think it's possible, and I don't know that they're going to do this, right? This is like best case pie in the sky scenario here. I think it is possible that that could happen in a real way, in a genuine way.
DC is not going to be able to do this.
Well,
dude.
And I think that's the problem, right?
What Wes is talking about is very much like what the approach of the Falcon and the Winter Soldier, right? Like asking you to reconsider what you think about this iconic character when it's recast.
Well,
but go ahead.
Here's the big key difference, and this is the part where I talked to a couple of my friends to make sure I'm not tripping.
Yeah.
I won't speak for all black people. I will speak for me, and I'm speak for the people who I've talked to. Also, the flip side is that when it comes to having symbols and whatnot, some people don't want it to just be a rehash of something that was already for another audience. Everything you said, I agree with. Like Falcon Winter Soldier, here's the key difference. Falcon was already his own identity and established character. He was the Falcon. He stepped into the mantle and became Captain America. But
right.
There's just some, like, I think there's some subtle but key differences. Like a lot of the, like, in terms of wanting that in a movie, you can get a Cyborg movie, a Static Shock movie. There's
Which
a bunch
they've
of
actively stonewalled.
There are
too.
a bunch of black superheroes who already can fulfill like exactly what it is you're talking about. But I think you can still do that without just having it be we're just gonna race flip the famously white character to kind of like, because at a certain point it feels like sloppy seconds. It feels like pandering. It feels like because I want to see. I even have a friend who I was on the phone with, and he was talking about how he has a cousin who's a 2-year-old, and he loves the Black Panther mask and the outfit and all that. And this is a 2-year-old himself who identified with it because he himself pointed out that his hair was similar to how they had Chadwick moving as like a black man. This is like, this isn't adults telling a kid how to feel. This is a kid, you watching them organically do that. So I think there is a real significance in having your own original symbols. And, I don't have an issue with Superman. Superman can be written as a really interesting, cool hero, and there are versions where he does. But don't try to sell Superman to black people by just essentially making him black and then hoping you can capitalize off the name Superman rather than actually building a new organic character or building on what already exists. Like Cyborg could be a dope character. Static, the show was, cheesy, but I remember I was a kid. Static Shock was I love that show because he was just a black kid who looked like me doing relatively relatable things and,
surfing on manhole covers.
And again, like surfing on manhole covers. But I don't know. I just think a lot of the race element stuff that's relatable, you lose when it's a superhuman alien baby. Like I just don't think that resonates the same way because it's not the same as other black superheroes who are actually humans who have lived the experience and done it. I don't know. It's different when someone's ultimately not a human and their, I think, connect from humanity from a writing perspective just feels different. But I think my bigger issue is that they're clearly just will be capitalizing off the Superman name rather than building what could be a really a cool character.
I mean, they're also
a
like
hero.
grasping
Like,
at straws. They're like grasping at straws generally now, right? Like they're rebooting Batman.
Which looks
Wait,
dope,
is
by the
Michael
way.
Keaton really going to come back and play Batman?
No,
it's
that's
Robert
in,
Pattinson.
Robert Pattinson.
I know
Michael
Robert
Keaton
Pattinson's
is doing it in Venom. Not
Okay.
Venom. Not Venom. No, that's Marvel. I don't even know. He's coming back in something stupid.
Birdman?
So
Birdman.
I don't know. It could be something.
No, but they're just. It seems like they're grasping at straws, and this is just one of the straws. Is like, let's just make Superman black.
They had to
I'll just make it clear.
reboot Suicide Squad already.
Yeah, that too. Like, I guess there's just a difference between doing colorblind casting, like in DC's fairness, they have done colorblind casting. Like Deadshot wasn't black until they got Will Smith. In Birds of Prey, what was it?
I can't remember her name. But yeah.
Banshee? No, I forget. But
Amanda Waller is also black.
well, she's always been black. Okay. She was like that in Justice League. She's been actually really consistent with her portrayal of a short-haired black woman who's super amoral, which actually a very well-done character. But beyond the point, like DC has done
Amoral.
They've done good like colorblind casting, but I think there's a big distinction between doing colorblind casting and just saying, all right, this is our black Superman. Now we can say we have black writers and black artists and black this, you know. Anthony Mackie himself said about Marvel, it's not real diversity if you just got all these black people only working on this black project. If you got all these great people who could have made Black Panther, cool, have them work on other shit too. Like, don't just hire them for the black production to say you had black people on it, you know. And I think the Superman movie, regardless of what the money, budget, resources, all that, to me, it just feels like conceptually I'm very opposed to it. So it's hard for me to really care who's behind it or what they're trying to do, because the very premise of it I'm already opposed to.
Yeah.
So, you know, we'll see.
I wonder if your skepticism, I think that part is skepticism, right? It's like, or not even skepticism, it's pessimism around like, what is the actual motivation behind this project? If at the end of it, if it's good, if Ta-Nehisi Coates, this future director, this producer, whoever, right, like comes into this project, ends up being able to now have more creative control over future projects. So like Ryan Coogler doing Creed, right, and doing Fruitvale Station and then doing Black Panther, he now probably has quite a bit of power and creative control over the projects that he both takes on and generates, and both within the Marvel universe, you know, and without or outside of that. Is there something to be said for right now? There isn't enough representation of black directors, black creatives in the movie industry, and this is the crumbs of, you know, like people are fighting over the crumbs, like we always say, but is it a chance for them to springboard forward into more powerful roles? And like, I hope that would be the case if this thing does well, but I kind of agree with you guys. Like, it is way more likely that DC fumbles this one and ends up with kind of a crap movie that people are like, well, you know, this movie wasn't worth making, and we're kind of in this like no man's land again with them and their movies.
Nobody is asking for this movie.
Right.
Straight up.
Yeah.
And there are other characters
Seriously.
that exist who they could tell more or less the same type of story that people are asking for. I would pay to see a Jon Stewart Green Lantern movie. I would pay to see a Static movie, a lesser known character, Icon. I would pay to see him. And his whole thing is that he's an alien, but his whole bit is that his DNA was more copied into the first person he saw, and it ended up being a black slave woman in the early 1800s. And his whole bit is that he lives a long time, but he grows up as a black man throughout history. And even that could be a cool premise. So like and he has the basic Superman power set. So like the source material is already out there for other unique characters that haven't had their limelight. And also, just a brief thing, that other version of Superman that they had named, one of them, not Kal-El, not
Calvin
There's
Ellis.
Calvin Ellis and
that
Val
version of him is literally a Superman who is like the president of the United States, and like was meant to be Superman Obama, and I'm pretty sure came out around that time. So we're not going to sit here and take that seriously as a version of Superman that
They
isn't
should
just-
cast Obama.
yeah, like come on, that's just disrespectful.
Yeah, actually, like one of my friends also had the same criticism about, you know, the pre-existing material. Like, what is the point of just recasting Superman Kal-El if that's the way that they're going to go about it? When there's this other interesting storyline about infinite Earths and, you know, parallel universes and stuff, and you have like something like a Val-Zod who could coexist alongside Kal-El because the timelines coexist or something like that, or the parallel universes coexist. So it you know, by just like recasting, it's just like a coat of paint rather than anything really significant.
One thing I'll say that's like, because I agree with you, Brian, but one thing I'll say that's like maybe a little bit more on the positive note of this, because I don't want, as much as I'm hating on this concept, I will say the integration of Miles Morales into the larger Marvel just pantheon has actually been very well done. And I remember as a comics reader when I was younger, when they first introduced him, I actually think Marvel did a decent job of not having him just be the Black Spider-Man, which is something I don't like that happens with characters. And they did a good job of emphasizing his name, Miles Morales, and really driving that home and making him his own unique character. And I think they did a good job of that, where even in Into the Spider-Verse, he's the main character, but they don't make it into he's just a Black Spider-Man type deal. And it was a good passing. I guess the point I'm getting at is that there are good ways that you can have a new character come along that is maybe a different version of an existing character, because characters are legacy characters all the time. But you have to do it right, and there's a certain level of setup and authenticity I think that has to be done with it. And I don't think that has generally happened with Superman, and I don't think how Superman generally is written for movies and such really would allow itself for that, because the movies haven't even figured out the best versions of Superman to write, which is always, to me, evil Superman is always the best version to write, because it actually makes him a compelling character. So, they haven't even figured out.
Man.
They don't know what they want to do with white Superman. So, like, what the hell are they gonna know what to do with Black Superman? Like, that really, like, that's what it. Like, Injustice Superman in that story
It's still
is
a bad
amazing.
character.
Yeah, he's still a boring character. I mean, it's all said and done. Like, no one cares about a dude who's super strong and invincible. Like, that's boring. No one cares about that.
Also, does this mean you finally watched Into the Spider-Verse? Savon?
Oh my god.
The bat
That
signal.
was such a beautifully well articulated dissection of that.
Well, I think that is the question, right? Like, what are they going to do with it? And we don't have a lot of details, so I think we'll stop speculating there, but you can count all of us as being on some level of skepticism to straight up maybe opposed.
I think, like, based on the Snyderverse, like, if there's a big uproar for this, it'll get canned. Like, I think they're very receptive to public sentiment now.
Yeah, especially now.
I think-
They have like zero leverage at this point.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think the one saving grace, the only reason I'd be willing to give it the benefit of the doubt for now, is that Ta-Nehisi Coates is already attached to it and is already writing it.
Yeah, that's the one glimmer of hope.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
don't think he's going to write something that is trivial or harmful. I think he's going to be very cognizant of that. And if he can't find a way to do that in a good way, he'll spend more time on it, or he'll figure it out. And
Or he'll quit.
yeah, or
Yeah.
quit. But he's been a
Just
he's
tell
been
me
a
to do
good
something
writer.
for Marvel. Come on.
Because he's
The
probably
guy
going to
clearly
really be
knows.
like, all right, look, y'all wanted me to really get with it. Like, this is what it looks like. Oh, actually,
Yeah.
this is a bit polarizing.
Yeah, we were hoping you could tone it down, the
I mean,
black parts.
that's what it really
just a
going to come
little
down to. Like,
bit.
yo, are they going to
Like,
ask him to tone it down? Because if they do, then, like, yo, this is
Right.
indicative of law. This is the whole point of,
Yeah.
like, all right.
1,000% for sure. So we'll see what they do with it. I mean, obviously, we won't know anything about it for a couple of years, and how it actually turns out. Maybe we'll start to learn who they cast, and maybe that'll give us more hope. Maybe we'll find out about a director. That'll give us more hope, or less hope, as the case may be. So we'll see where it goes. So Black Superman, what's your guys' take out there in listener land? That'll wrap us up. Follow us on Instagram and Twitter at confidently_pod. Leave us a comment. Friends, have a great one. This has been real. Look for our next episode coming out soon. We'll start talking about Loki, and then we'll see what happens after that.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
We out.